Now I'm going to talk about 6 great reasons to understand karma. The first one is because it helps you to get what you want materially and spiritually on this earth. If you understand karma, you think of life in a deep time aspect, and you realize that it's important to consider the spiritual aspect of all your actions and your daily life as well. Because ultimately, you can get to the end of your life, look back upon it, and have regrets. I call it deathbed regret. You know, people don't say, oh, I wish I spent more time at work. They say, oh, I wish I was more loving. Oh, I wish I spent more time with my children. So when we understand karma, we understand our duties and our roles, and we fulfill them in 100% kind of way. And so that first really important reason is to get what you want in this world. Materially, as human beings, our needs and desires are first for security, then pleasure, then good works, and ultimately freedom. And so we are much more likely to attain all those goals all the way to realizing our freedom if we understand karma. And the second reason is we judge ourselves upon death. On the other side, we have a life review where we have an opportunity to see our entire life flash before our eyes, and we experience what all the people around us experienced in their emotions and in their feelings by our own actions and words. And if that's not a compelling reason to sort of become kind and careful and thoughtful at a very deep and gentle level, I don't know what is. Because if you understand karma, you can avoid life review remorse. And I'm sure we've all had remorse in previous life reviews, and perhaps that's why we're here this time. And the third reason is that your life is absolutely precious. Having a body on earth is a highly desirable thing. Evidently, there are long lines of beings waiting for a human body. And while we have bodies, let's use them for what we truly came for. And that was to cultivate our soul's growth, to cultivate our compassion and our love and our understanding. The fourth reason to understand karma is that karma determines your rebirth next time. It's karma that pulls us back into this wheel of rebirth over and over and over, because we leave our bodies with an account of positive and negative karmas that need to be fulfilled, that need to be played out. And if we have good karma when we end this life, we have more of an opportunity to have a beneficial next life. It's very vulnerable on earth those first few years. And if you have good karma, you have a better chance of coming in with a good childhood and a good family and a good secure way to get, up to the age of 21. So then you can launch on and create the life you had in mind for yourself. But as we all know, a child in a difficult childhood takes a very long time to overcome some of that wounding and get on with what they truly wanted to create in this life. And so many of us came here in order to help and to help others. And we can be much more effective at helping others and uplifting the planet when we cultivate and understand karma. And number 5 is that karma helps you to understand the soul journey of integration. And this is a quote from Sal Kelly from his book, Soul Integration. Once you begin to realize that you have been caught up in illusions, you also become aware that you have built up a large momentum of negative experience due to the length of time you have been descended into darkness. Therefore, you begin the seemingly long and arduous process of overcoming these lifetimes of negative karma. Eventually, You work through the majority of your negative lifetimes and balance your karmas sufficiently to get off the wheel of reincarnation. Through forgiveness, kind deeds, love, and compassion, you stop creating more karma and become a positive force for change in the world. At this point, you are free to move on into other realms and dimensions of experience. So we judge ourselves and return over and over and over. And so it's really important to understand our soul's journey. In Vedanta, they teach that there is an order in the higher realms that we retire to once we have completed our karmas. And we don't have full volition to navigate wherever we want to go in these higher dimensional realms. But understanding karma certainly helps you to navigate this world, the next, and beyond. And then the sixth and most important reason to understand and study karma is not to balance our karmas, but to get off the wheel of reincarnation. And this is what we do by one of two ways. The first is by working our way up through the dimensions by accruing massive amounts of good punya karma, by accumulating love and wisdom and ascending. So as you can see from this image, we move from the lower level up to these higher and higher levels of God presence and divine understanding when we accumulate positive karma. That's one way to move beyond the cycle of birth and death. The other way that I'm aware of is you gain freedom, or moksha, which is the Sanskrit word, or enlightenment. And the way we do that, well, first you might ask, freedom from what? The freedom we gain is freedom from suffering, freedom from the command to return to earth. And if we're talking of karma as currency, this is like a diamond of a reason for understanding it. So how do we gain our freedom? How do we gain our enlightenment? We do this by assigning our actions to the field, or to God, or Ishvara is the Sanskrit word for both the God pre-manifestation and the manifestation God, or the Creator God. So by assigning our actions to the field, which naturally happens when we know without a doubt who we truly are as consciousness. In understanding karma, we learn in a deep, deep way who we truly are, because we realize that in a non-duality, there's something behind it all, and that something is who we all are, already and always. My teacher, Ramji, James Schwartz, used to say that when I say the word I, or you say the word I, it's that very same I, every time. And that very same I, that very same consciousness is behind that word I, no matter who says it. So I created this little illustration here of consciousness and the dimensional realities. So if you look at it, we have consciousness, which is all those little dots all over the page. And even in that egg in the center, there is consciousness behind it all. So consciousness is outside of time and all material, and beneath all events in time and material. Consciousness is everywhere, and thus impossible to see, measure, or touch. And the I that animates all of us, our true self behind and within the walls of our electrons, atoms, cells, organs, and bodies, is consciousness. And so in the illustration, the egg in the center is all the manifest reality, all the substance of this world, all the dimensional realities, all the levels and dimensions of this world. And you can see I've written the word Maya. That's the Sanskrit word that describes this eternal principle that exists within consciousness and creates the dimensional reality. And the word Maya is defined by Brother Anandamoy. Maya is the delusory power inherent in the structure of creation by which the one appears as many. Maya is the principle of relativity, inversion, contrast, duality, oppositional states. Paramahansa Yogananda, of Autobiography of a Yogi fame, wrote, "The Sanskrit word Maya means the measurer. It is the magical power in creation by which limitations and divisions are apparently present in the immeasurable and inseparable, in God's plan and play." So Maya is what creates the dimensional realities in the egg in the center of the illustration of consciousness. And in the same way that we are consciousness behind all the dimensional reality, I'd like to explain the essence of who we are with a metaphor. When you think of fire, the essence of fire is heat. And the essence of sugar is sweetness. Our essence is consciousness. And this is a really, really important key. And when we understand karma, we are entering an entirely new world, a gateway to knowing who we are as consciousness. It's imperative to understand who we truly are in order to move beyond suffering in this earthly world. So, in summary, karma is the seen and unseen results of our past actions. It brings us back into this reincarnational cycle of life, and it's a spiritual marker for our soul's growth. And the 6 fabulous reasons to study karma are so we don't have deathbed regret and life review remorse. And so we remember how precious our human life is, and we really work to fulfill it at the deepest soul level. And we also understand how karma's magnetism pulls us back into this reincarnational cycle and determines our rebirth next time. Swami Paramartananda says, you pay for your body with karma dollars. And good karma helps create a great body and a great family in the next lifetime, a body that really serves what you need to do. The 4th reason is understanding the soul's journey, understanding our life at the level of the soul, at the level of all that is. And there's an order for how it all works in the spiritual realms, the lokas or the dimensions. And when we understand karma, it helps us in our movement up the ladder in the physical dimensional realities by accruing massive amounts of karma. And the most important reason, which advanced seekers of spiritual truth need to know, is that we need to know how we're going to move beyond the cycle of birth and death, how we're going to get off the wheel of reincarnation. And when we realize who we truly are, we attain freedom by assigning our actions, by no longer claiming our actions in this world as our own actions, but we become avenues for God or all that is to be a work in this world, thus ending our interaction with the field as an individual, as a karma creating entity, and engaging as the one, as the self in human form. Our karmas play out until they're exhausted, but ultimately we become free. So that's the 6 great reasons for understanding karma. And next up is the karmic field of engagement, or the karmic ecosystem, and 3 levels of understanding God.